freaking pretty, bro. Look at that. Sexy back. I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. You know I don't know the whole song. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. The video was about us trying to retrofit some fog lights into my 96, 97 plus bumper. These right here, if you already know, I'll probably get a lot of flack behind this video. It's all good. As long as I can cut these things up and get them to fit in my bumper, that is the plan today. If you haven't already, subscribe, like the video, drop a comment down in the comment section of how you think it turned out. And if you think it's really worth it, drop that down in the comment section. If you don't think this actual mod is actually even worth the time and you know it's a waste of money, drop that down in the comment section. Already cut a headlight. I actually had that sitting out drying in the sun because I actually spray painted it satin black, because using the silver bezels, the chrome bezels won't work for me just because my headlights are actually black. So I want the fog lights to actually match my headlights. These are 1998 to 2003, I believe, Dodge Intrepid fog lights. These bulbs are actually the same size bulbs as far as our stock fog lights, H3s, but the connector, as you can already pretty much tell, is different. I don't have my actual OEM fog lights, but if you could come across a set of damaged OEM fog lights, you can cut this connector off and splice the OEM connector onto here that comes from the actual fog light. If not, you want to go ahead and buy you a set of connectors. You can get those off of Amazon, eBay, or whatever. Cut this end off, cut the end off on your car, and just use the aftermarket pigtails just to wire it in, and you should be good to go. So first things first, you want to do, you have to disassemble this light. It may look like a lot of things going on in this light, but it's really not in all reality. I have aftermarket bulbs, so I could just pop this bulb out. So what you do, oh yeah, and then I have I left the plastic on it too for right now. So what you do, you just take this clip. Oh, something just broke loose in there. Yep, something broke loose. We have dislodged the centerpiece. Oh, it's a little bit hard doing this with one hand, so you just... Yep, the whole thing came apart already. It's all good, y'all. Didn't want it to do that, but it's gravy, baby. All right, so since this already came loose, so what you want to do next, if that happens to you, this screw right here, it's a Phillips head screwdriver. Pull some of this plastic back just a little bit. I don't want to uncover the whole headlight yet. Take it. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Alright guys, so this actual screw actually holds this on. Holds this inside the headlight. This right here is most likely one of the screws just to adjust the height of the light. I may be incorrect with that, but that definitely holds that into the actual fog light assembly or the fog light housing. You have to take this out. You have to take this out before you do this next step. All right, so since that is out, what we're going to do is peel this plastic off. And I want to show you exactly why we're doing this. This actual headlight, which you should already know, is being held in by glue. This is some very, 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 very sticky glue here, guys. What you guys to do is get a pair of gloves, nice thick gloves, some work gloves, flathead screwdriver, ready? And an oven. You're gonna need those three things for this next step, and I'll show you what we're gonna have to do next. We are actually gonna heat this up to get this glue to get unsticky and pry it apart. Then we can get the cutting. You can do it this way in the oven if you don't have access to an oven or you don't want to do it in your oven. You can use a heat gun. The heat gun is gonna take a long time to do, but the oven is quicker. D, set your oven to 375. Let that puppy preheat, get it all the way hot, and check back with me in 2 seconds. All right, guys, so my oven is actually preheated, 375. So this part, you actually want to stick around by the oven, mainly because you don't want to set anything inside your house on fire. With that being said, 375, 2 to 5 minutes. Periodically check on the headlights / fog lights as these things are actually going through the heat cycles, because I want to say, depending on what kind of epoxy / glue they use to actually seal these things, I've done headlights so many times the way as though some headlights take 5 minutes, some headlights actually take 8 to 10 minutes. And I honestly want to say, with some educated thought involved, that it's actually the actual glue that that they're actually selling these headlights up with / epoxy. You know, it's actually epoxy. I want to say it's actually epoxy. It may be the actual plastic material, whatever. Just keep an eye on your headlights as they go. Between 2 to 5 minutes. If 5 minutes don't work, bump it up to 8 minutes, 375. Keep an eye on your stuff, and I can be right back with you once these things are ready to separate. It's already been about 5, 6, 7 minutes or so. Haven't been really keeping count. I just want to check them right now because they may be able to break apart right now. So these are the gloves I actually weld with. Good gloves, real thick gloves. You want to use thick, nice thick gloves because this is about to be very, very hot. All right, so if you take a look at this, it's a little bit damaged here. Don't worry about that at all, because we're actually going to remove this whole trim around it, and I'll show you once we get this light apart. So what you want to do is take a nice size Phillips flathead screwdriver, and you want to pry at the lights, at the lens, really, really slowly. So when you pry it, don't go, you know, monkey on it. Just pry it a little bit. Once you start prying on it some, this actually will start separating on its own, and I'll show you. The major part, the major catch with this is, you want to do it while the actual light is hot, because once it cools back off, the glue actually dries and becomes sticky again. Sorry about the noise. That's my dog drinking water, y'all. Slap my other glove on, and you want to do this really, really slow. You hear that cracking? It's not actually breaking anything. That's the actual glue. Not sure if you guys can actually hear that. And what I'm doing it real slow. I'm actually just prying at it just a little bit at a time. You just move your screwdriver, just pry it, and it'll actually. The oven was still preheating when we did this. That was that beep. But it's coming apart. It's probably was still hot too because I did do the other fog light. So, bang, voila, we have it. Oh. All right, so now we can go to the shed, and I can show you the part that you gotta cut off. I'll see you guys in the shed. Come on, Zoe. All right, guys, so this is the fun part. So like I said, this is the light I already finished, the actual housing. So what you want to do is, this was actually the chrome. So what you want to do is you want to separate this complete black ring around it. And what you do is you just cut you cut these off. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you follow this guideline all the way around and cut this joint completely off. All the way around. Follow this line all the way around and cut it completely off. You know, once you do that, you have this, and that is what you need versus this. So I'm gonna go ahead, get the cutting, and as I'm cutting, I cut it halfway and give you guys a look. See, just in case you didn't understand what I was saying about the line you need to cut on, just in case, so that way you won't mess your fog lights up. Give me 1 second. Then like line, you separate it. If you have like a Dremel probably be a lot more neater than this, but this still works. You just got to do a lot of cleaning up after you're done cutting it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this piece up and give you guys a look, see how it looks before I put the paint on it. All right, guys, so there you have it. And this is the actual piece that was around it. So what you do, you just cut it off. But we did have an accident. I cut through the bezel or something. You see that hole? Sand that down. And on the other side, I'm actually gonna use the plastic welder, and we're gonna actually close that hole up, and then we're gonna spray it. Which a Dremel probably would be better. I use the sander, and this just knocks all the old glue off like super easy. And don't burn myself like I usually do. 4 minutes, shot it. Which, ow, man, I'm gonna burn myself, bro. Yep, you just let it sit down. You see, it's oh, I put that hot heathen breath on that joint. All right, guys. So this is the tricky part. Anyway, it's the tricky part. Anyway, so you had to actually get this to stick to that. Don't worry about the inserts, because those can go on once you get this glass slash, the lens put on here. So initially when you put it on, you want to have this lock around it like this. Boom. And that's how it's supposed to go. But if you noticed, and I didn't really notice it, it's a huge void right there, right? So once you press it down, it actually closes that void, but you still have this gap here. Luckily, it has this design so you can shove a lot of glue in here slash adhesive, slash epoxy, just to get it to seal all the way up. And when you do it, just close it completely, and it should close in theory. All right, so a friend of mine's, Mac, Big Mac, shout out to you, brother. Don't mind that. I wasn't trying to paint my nails. It came from the spray paint, honestly. Shout out to you, Big Mac, because we are about to use this Headlight Adhesive sticky stuff again. So this is actually activated in the oven. So yes, you have to put the actual housing back into the oven if you're actually going to use this. I would recommend you use this because this seals, like this actually seals it. This is like almost like the stuff you put on your windshield. It actually seals it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this all around on here, stick it in the oven 375 until this actually starts getting tacky a little bit before it starts melting. And what you do, you just hold it all together and let it sit for a couple minutes in your hand, and it'll actually dry and stick. All right, before I show this in the oven, I give you guys a look-see. So I actually went around it once, and I put 1, 2, 3 layers at the bottom, just because it has to fill this big void right here. So as you see, it's freaking pretty, bro. Look at that, sexy back. I'm bringing sexy back, yeah. You know the. I don't know the whole song, but bow, that's how you got it, man. So I'm gonna go ahead, stick this one in the oven. I'm gonna set this one up, but I'm gonna do them one at a time. Please, please, please be mindful of which one is left and which one is right. All right, so I kind of like propped it up on the side because I didn't want to have the lens flat down on this tray. Just because I don't want to damage it or anything. So I'm gonna heat this up 375 for about 3 minutes or so. All right, guys, here you have it. This is the end result. Came out pretty good. Some of the actual sealer did bulge out, which we really needed it to do, just because you remember those voids. So it is actually completely sealed. I am, however, going to put it in the oven for another minute or two, just for won't hurt. So it may look like it scratches on this lens, but that's actually just spray paint from when I spray painted the GS400 LS calibers before I put them on the GS. So I just got to pretty much sand these down and just polish them up just to get them real clear again. But it is the black housing. Came out pretty good. So I am going to do an update video on how to install these on the SC300 in like another day or so. That way you can actually know how to actually install them. I have no idea how I'm going to install them, but I'm going to make it work. So that way I can show you guys how I actually install it on the SC300, SC400, 96, 97 plus front bumpers. I say 96, 97 because I don't actually know. It's the second gen bumper, bro. All right, just give me a break. But yeah, here we go. It's beautiful, guys. Beautiful. Besides, it's a little rough around the edges, but hey, yeah, hopefully that process actually will help somebody as far as doing it. Like this mod is not for everybody, because I know there's a lot of us guys, including myself, that just love to have a clean SC look. This may fall into the category of, like the normal DIY thing. But hopefully, it helps somebody out who couldn't find fog lights for their bumpers and are down to just fiddle around with something like this. It did come out pretty good. I love the results so far, as long as it actually has good light output. But I spray painted the inside parts black, so it might not be as good as the chrome bezel would be, but you don't see with your fog lights anyway. I'm just saying, don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. And on to another adventure with the SC300, I guess. Until next time, guys. Peace.